Thank you, William. I was feeling down, so I went over to Spotify and typed in melancholy. Up popped a playlist called Melancholy Mix, made especially for me. I was shocked that A, this playlist existed, and B, how many of those songs I play all the time. In fact, one of those songs was my number one most repeated track of last year, Say Less by British R&B singer Santino Lasaint. In the chorus, he repeats the words, "fuck love." I thought, no, this can't be right, that's not me. What happens if I type happy into Spotify? Another playlist came up designed with me in mind. It was called Feel Good Happy Mix. Okay, I thought, that's what I'm talking about. I scanned the playlist. Wait a minute, there was just one song I recognised on it, Dancing by Kylie Minogue, which I had had on repeat for the previous 6 months. But why didn't I recognise any of the other songs? Why was it that the melancholy mix was exactly the type of music I listened to, but the happy mix wasn't something I evidently would gravitate towards? Another thing that surprised me was there wasn't just one melancholy mix designed with me in mind. There was multiple. There was melancholy mix, the melancholy instrumental mix, the melancholy indie mix, the melancholy classical mix, the melancholy jazz mix, the melancholy rock mix, the melancholy violin mix, and on it went. There were just 2 happy playlists. Why waste time putting together mixes I wasn't going to listen to, I guess? Even my algorithm hasn't got time for that. I panicked. And so I did what anyone in a panic would do. I consulted Dr. Google. I typed in, what happens when you listen to sad songs? I expected a result saying, well, it proves there's obviously something wrong with you. But no. The very first result told me it stimulates the release of comforting hormones. Ah, I thought, I see. You see, I've never been one to watch horror movies. To me, it just doesn't make sense to turn out the lights, sit in front of a screen, and watch something you know will scare the living daylights out of you. There's that, and as a 13-year-old, I loved the actor Eddie Furlong, the cute kid in Terminator 2. He's a couple of years older than me. So at a slumber party, when a friend put on the movie Pet Sematary 2, starring none other than Eddie Furlong, of course I was keen to watch. That movie freaked me out so much, I didn't watch another horror movie till Get Out hit cinemas 25 years later. Now, I'm not saying that watching a horror movie is the same as listening to a sad song when you're feeling down, but both things to me defied logic until I went down a research rabbit hole to find out why listening to sad songs stimulates the release of comforting hormones. Have you ever experienced something tragic only for someone to say to you, don't worry, everything's going to be okay? Or the dreaded, everything happens for a reason? Or the dreadful, there are people in worse positions than you. The people saying these things quite often mean well. Maybe you've been one of these people, I know I have. But hearing something like that when you're in the midst of a crisis can be unhelpful, irritating even. So the same feelings can occur when you're feeling down and put on a happy song from the playlist that Spotify has curated for you. It reminds you just how far away you are from actually feeling happy. Wallowing in self-pity while listening to a sad song, however, can help you accept where you're at. It can be cathartic. It can be a coping mechanism. It can help put you in touch with your feelings. It can help you feel less alone. There's an artist who gets you, an artist who at one point in their lives knew exactly how you felt in that moment. For me, their names are Billie Eilish, Lana Del Rey, Black, The Weeknd, Frank Ocean, Drake, Arlo Parks, and of course, Santino Lessaint, who featured in my melancholy mix a record 5 times. So let's analyse for a minute the song that was at the very top. It's called Red by Santino Lessaint. The first few bars are a moody instrumental. Listening to the pace alone and the tempo, you know this song isn't designed to soundtrack your wedding. But interestingly, in the chorus, Santino Lessaint references Say Less, you know, the song where he repeats fuck love. But he goes on to say, I choose you over my blues. I love that lyric. I choose you over my blues. To me, it signals a willingness to change, to evolve, to get out of the funk you're in. And that's why listening to sad songs when I'm feeling down works for me. You might find it works for you too. But should you allow yourself a time limit? Because surely listening to every melancholy mix that Spotify has curated for you, back to back for hours on end, can't be good for you, right? I went back to Dr. Google. And I found out that listening to sad songs can actually improve your mood. Remember when I said that listening to sad songs stimulates the release of comforting hormones? Well, on a biological level, that's exactly what can happen. Sad music can boost levels of hormones like prolactin. Prolactin can help you feel calm. It can fend off overwhelming feelings of grief. Sad music can also stimulate the production of dopamine, the feel-good hormone. And it turns out, there's no need to listen to sad music for hours on end, because as your mood changes, you can change the music to match your emotions. It's called the ISO principle. First, you match music to your low mood, and then you alter the music to match your more positive mood. So after listening to Red by Santino Lessaint, I decided to give a song on the happy mix a chance. I chose a title that was a bit edgy. I'm Not Here to Make Friends. It was by artists I recognise, Sam Smith and Calvin Harris. Jessie Reyez featured on the track as well. Straight away, it was far more upbeat than any song on the melancholy mix. I found myself nodding my head and tapping my feet and doing that thing where you're not quite dancing, but you kind of are. It made me feel good, it sounded good, and yes, so happy music, happy mood. It put me in a really good mood. When my dad had a health scare, and don't worry, he's okay, but when he had a health scare, I would often drive him to his hospital appointments. When we walked in one time, I remember seeing signs pointing to Bondi Beach and the Botanic Gardens and the Sydney Harbour Bridge and Taronga Zoo. I said to Dad, what's up with that? We're in a hospital. He said when he would look down to get treatment, he would look up and see a massive screen, an LED screen with an image of the Botanic Gardens above him in the Botanic Gardens room. Others would see Bondi Beach and so on. I thought, there's a story in that. At the time, I was a features reporter for ABC Sydney. So I wrote a story for the ABC website about this and some of the other therapies they had available at the hospital. One of those therapies was music therapy. And I spoke to Jack and his 18-year-old cancer patient, James. And that really hit home for me the impact that music can have in terms of its healing effects. James had been feeling down, he had a low mood because of the chemo, he was experiencing a lot of friction. But then a nurse went in to check on him and she was shocked by how well he suddenly looked. You know, he was smiling, he was laughing, he was sitting up in bed. And Jack and James actually performed a song that James had written as part of his music therapy. I must admit, I cried when the two of them performed that song. But it was the impact that writing that song had on James that was also significant. So low mood and then high mood. So writing music can be healing. Listening to music can be healing. When I tell people my book is called Hip Hop and Hymns, straight away people think it's a book about hip hop, which is fair enough. But no, it's not a book about hip hop. My book is a memoir, a coming-of-age story about mental health, the criminal justice system, and identity, in which music plays a key role. At various moments in my life, the type of music I was listening to helped shape my morals and values, including the hymns I grew up listening to as a child. But I also, as a teenager, listened to a lot of hip-hop. And that I internalized a lot of the messaging I was hearing in hip-hop at the time. Now, you've got to understand, I wasn't listening to conscious hip-hop, artists like Common and artists who are all about black empowerment. I was listening to artists like Snoop Dogg, who rapped about bitches and hoes. And as a 15-year-old, I couldn't differentiate between bitches, hoes, and women. To me, they were all the same thing. And as a teenage girl, this was very confusing. I love hip-hop and always will. And there's a lot to be said about nostalgia and listening to music from your past. But I've had to take a Snoop Dogg detox in adulthood because he reminds me of a time and place that I'm just not at anymore. And that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to just not listen to certain artists and certain songs because it's better for your mental health. And there's a lot to be said also about preemptively listening to your happy playlists. Motivational speaker Zig Ziglar says it well when he says, you're better off refueling the tank before it gets empty and you end up stranded. And the same thing can be said for motivation, he says. You need motivation to get motivation. I say, and it's backed by research, that when you're in an okay mood, that's when to build on that with happy songs to build and maintain that mood. It's the same principle of refueling your tank. So maybe you start the day with a happy playlist. Maybe you listen to one at work. Maybe you listen to one while you're cleaning. I have a playlist that I have called #motivation. On it are songs for the days I need a boost. Songs like Survivor by Destiny's Child. That song reminds me that I'm a fighter, that I'm capable of great things, that I'm a survivor. A Little Better by Gnarls Barkley. That song reminds me that I'm not where I was. Smile by Kanan. A song that reminds me that I'm not the center of the universe. Wrote My Way Out by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Nas, and others. That song reminds me that I have a gift. I can write. I'm creative, and that's a blessing. I Can See Clearly Now by Jimmy Cliff. Roll Up Your Sleeves by Meg Mac. Never Give Up by Sia. All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled. The songs on this playlist make me feel like I'm on top of the world. They #motivate me. The movie industry understands the power of music. Globally, it's $1 billion industry, and there's a reason for that. Yes, there's the powerful visuals and dialogue, but filmmakers also choose the right songs to accompany various scenes, and they do a really good job of that. Businesses also understand the power of music. Supermarkets like Coles and Woolworths have curated playlists. Gyms do this too. Basically, there are a lot of people who understand the power of music. And I actually wrote a story for Double J where one of the people I spoke to, the director of One Music Australia, said to me, if a restaurant picks French music to play, people will pick French wine from the wine list. So music touches people emotionally, she said. And they either stay longer in a shop, they buy more, or they stick around, and that's the power of music. So thank you for listening to me today. I want to quote Jay-Z. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and I'm really grateful. Really grateful. Please follow me on Instagram at Mawunyo Gbogbo. And Hip Hop and HYMNS comes with a playlist, which you can find on Spotify, of course, but also on Apple Music and YouTube. You will also find my #motivation playlist in the same place. Thank you so much for listening. And what a way to end a speech about the healing effects of music, but for me to introduce an artist who exudes positivity. Kween is a cultural leader, a hip-hop artist, and MC. She advocates for social justice, inclusion, and her latest album, Sensible Rebel, is unapologetically authentic. But Kween has agreed to sing an earlier song that I requested, which is called Repel. Now, I chose this particular track because it does that thing where it makes you want to nod your head and tap your feet and do that thing where you're not quite dancing, but you kind of are. Please welcome Kween.
Yes, make some noise once again for the sister Mawunyo. Please turn up the music. I need you all to help me out. This is a song for all of you. And once you get to know the lyrics, listen real close, I'm sure it will relate to every one of you. Ready? Can you say repel? Repel. Like this. Say, I repel bad vibes. I repel bad shade. I repel, come on. I repel bad ways. I repel bad mind. Repel bad energy. Repel bad everything. Repel bad minds. Come on. Turn my music up a little bit. This is hip hop. We need it loud. All right, listen up. Holders of the highest power. From the start right to the final hour. From the long line of the oldest ways. Them ancestors walk and lead the way. So when you come for me on your bad day, I'm throwing toxins. That's why I'm boxing. My eye and I remove you out the way. We are one in a trillion. So are you victim or villain? Energy stealing, ruining feelings. Find yourself some healing. The meaning of being present. Project the positive vibrations. Every word you use could prove to be the very abuse you speak of coming right back at you. I commit to my black yo magical, black yo attitude. I'm magnitude high frequencies. I'm generating generations evenly. Yes, descended from ancient sin. I'm an agent of change. Through pages I'm raging, rearranging the stage. I repel, come on. I repel, sing it. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Repel bad everything, repel. Come on, say it. Take it away. Repel. You cannot tame us. You cannot chain us. Your favorite's favorite. Born to be famous. Too much stamina. No one can damage her. Though she was an amateur challenger. My stamina, I see no danger. Challenger, stamina. Prolonged physical or mental effort. Might as well test it, protect it. Blessed it. Chosen, see sowing. Knowledge passing, making and knowing. Controlling my own. Creating my own. Sing it. I repel. Come on. Repel bad everything, repel, come on. Yeah. Yeah. on. Uh-oh, repel back everything. Thank you very much.